Well, just look at autumn. I think that's what we call this time of the year, right? Mm-hmm. And what does it say? It says change. When you look, you see the yellow and the orange and the red from the green, and you see change. You see something that was alive appears to approach death. Appears to. But amongst that orange and red and yellow are the evergreens. They're still green and will be green all winter long. Even when all the leaves have fallen and the trees for the most part look like dried sticks and appear to be dead. This is the process. This is the law. And in the spring, the young shoots come up. And everything springs to life again. This is process. And somewhere around summer, everything matures. And the process begins again. This is a law. It is a law not only of plants, but of all things. All things. In physics, it is said that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It simply changes form. It goes from energy to mass, from mass to energy. Same thing. The only consistent in this place we call the universe is change. 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 It is when we don't embrace it that we run into trouble. That we don't embrace what we have become and the point of the need to change. And it happens for all of us over and over and over again. You may think you get to a point in your awakening where change is no longer necessary. But change is no longer necessary in the sociological way in which you look at it. In those terms, I've changed all I'm going to change. I changed from the lie or the illusion to the truth and the acceptance of that truth. Now, when that happens, we come to something greater even than form. Something greater than the universe that you see. Something greater than the universe you live in or we live in. Change goes on. It changes so much that you become so different. It becomes almost impossible for those around you to relate to you. But change goes on, and it is a happy, joyful change. It is not unhappy because you lose all the things that make you unhappy along the way. You lose all the attitudes and ideas of what it should be to accept the fact of what it is. This is natural process. Each season of one's life should bring about a learning and a change. But unfortunately, when we look around us, it doesn't so much. We come into the world in the spring of life, a young shoot, tender, green, not knowing, we gain insecurity. Insecurity is an opinion about not knowing. So then we gain fear. Fear of something that is different. Fear of what is, I don't understand. But yet the idea of not understanding has been set up because we're young. We're only a few minutes old. What do we know? Nothing. So, we bring our fear to everything. I don't know. How do I deal with this? Unfortunately, it stays with us because we don't search for the truth about ourselves, and we don't search for who we are. We search outside of ourselves. We've been taught to do that. We blame outside of ourselves. We want outside of ourselves to change. It is not outside of us that changes and brings us peace. It is inside of us that changes and brings us peace. You can't make it bring you peace. You can't make it give you what you say you want it is to give you. I'm going to make it happen. No, you're not. It is what it is. And each universe out there, every person you meet, every animal you meet, is a universe unto itself and responds as itself. Okay? We may want it, but the rule supersedes what we want. When what we want is against the law, the natural law. Okay. Now, in what ways is this detrimental? It's detrimental to how you feel. It's detrimental to your attitude. It's detrimental to your peace. Now, if you wish to continue in that pain, that's okay. That is the choice of every human being. But I ask the question, is it really sane to want to do that? Is it really sane to do that? That's for every individual to answer. You see, the law is there. The law is there. And you will be reminded every day that it's there. The seasons change. And no matter what you do, they change. Now, you can either change and ride with it, or you can resist it and die in misery. Well, dying in misery may not be so bad. It's the living in misery. Okay? Now, this is what happens. This is the law. Everything changes. It tells us everything within us must change. That child who comes in the spring of life comes with the desire to live life on its own terms. Remember when you were young, how frustrating it was, how difficult it was, and how small it made you feel that you couldn't actually participate in the ways in which you desired to participate. There was always the group that wouldn't let you in for whatever reason. There's always the thing that you wanted that you couldn't have for whatever reason. But you vowed to fight on. You vowed, okay. I'm going to make it through this. But what did you bring with you? You brought with you the pain and the scars. Now you're living in the world in a defensive manner. You defend it against those things around you, even those things that are best for you. I defend myself against the truth. How smart is that? How smart is that? Well, my opinion is just as good as yours. Well, probably if it's an opinion. But if one of them's the truth and yours is an opinion, not the same thing. But if you think it's an opinion, you treat it as an opinion, and you treat it badly because you want it the way you want it. I want this to be for me in this way, and that's how I want it. Well, really, is life really that way? I look and listen to successful people. I have looked and listened. And life is one problem after another. I've got to overcome this, I've got to overcome that. You can have a good paying job, but the guy above you seems to always be a jerk. And don't forget, you are above the guy below you. Jerk. So, here we are, struggling, trying to play political games just to do what is right sometimes, and sometimes just what we want to do. So we struggle and we fight and we have this internal thing, and we're defensive out here. It gets even worse when we turn, from to puberty, when we turn to the summer of life, because we've got so much energy now, we don't really know what to do with it. We've got all this energy that it's actual sexual energy or energy of creation. It gets hot. We become restless because we don't know how to deal with the energy, because we are inexperienced with dealing with it. The only way to deal with it is to be in the fire and learn to deal with it. But our focus, once again, is outside. Our focus is this way, so I want to deal with it this way. You cannot. You can only deal with it this way, because what is happening within you. But we don't know that yet. So here we are, we're fighters, we're battlers, we step on each other. We don't know how to work together. We don't know how to take advice from those who've gone before us. We don't know how to take advice from those who know better, who have more experience. To listen and to hear. Oh, okay, that's why that is. That's why this is. Now, let's do something to expand that. Let's do something to make that better for everyone. Not just for the guy with money against the guy who has no money, or for whites and not blacks and browns and yellows. Let's not divide ourselves in those ways. Let's unify. That's what we are. Human beings. Human beings. But see, then, first, we must learn to behave like human beings and not like animals. Well, maybe we would be better off if we behaved like animals, because they do have a certain moral code. I'm reminded of another story I saw. This guy lived in the woods with grizzlies. He had his little cabin, and bears, would come by. And ultimately, they became friends in a weird kind of way. And one day this female bear came, and she had 2 cubs. And would come and he would feed the cubs and go away, and she would come and he would feed the cubs. And once again, one day, he didn't have any food for the cubs. He didn't feed them. She whipped his butt. It's like, now, you're not going to leave these kids on me. You took the responsibility for feeding these kids. Now I'm going to treat you like a female bear treats her husband. Get out and get some meat for these babies. So she kind of roughed him up a little bit. And I would imagine that it was, being roughed up by a 1,400-pound woman with nails this long must be kind of hard. She messed him up. Well, see, when we interfere or we go against the law, there's a price. And it comes sometimes in the shape of a grizzly. Okay? When you don't pay attention to what the rules are, you pretend you don't know what the rules are. And you know what the rules are. Look. Look around. The law is everywhere. The natural law is everywhere. The natural law of survival. The natural law of growth. The natural law of change is everywhere. But now we have the fire in us. We're in August of our lives. We're in the summer of our lives. We're going to live forever. But we're really not. So we've become very destructive. Well, in some sense, destruction is natural. We see it. We see riots. We see this kind of change happening. But this does not have to be the way change happens. So change can happen through the use of intelligence. But we must be willing to look at ourselves as individuals and see those things within us that need to change. And when we see that, we can sit down with others. If each of us sees that within ourselves, we can sit down together and we can make change. And it doesn't have to be violent. We don't have to blow each other up to do it. Among intelligent beings. But if it is not among intelligent beings, not among beings using their intelligence, it's going to be a violent upheaval. And things are going to be lost that don't have to be. But that is the nature of change. Change is going to come. It's going to come whether you like it or not. Whether I like it or not, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can go to that gym every day. I struggled to get to the gym the other day, and I decided, I've been doing the bench press with the barbell, the long bar, and I've gotten up to a bench of 125 pounds. On a Smith machine. I decided, I need to shape my pecs a little bit. I'm looking a little... Booby, yeah. I decided to do dumbbells. That's one in each hand, okay. So I reached down and I grabbed the 25 pounders and couldn't pick it up. So I'm doing benches with 15 pounds. 15 pounds in each hand. There was a time when I did it with 110 pounds in each hand. Change has happened. I can feel it in the muscle. There was a point in time when I could push push that thing, and there would be that resistance in that muscle. And I knew that 125 pounds or 120 pounds, 110 pounds was not coming back this way. It was going that way. Now at 15 pounds, it's coming this way. And there's no, when I lock it, it's not locked anymore. Change has happened. It doesn't bother me. I am not, oh man. I recognize the fact very clearly. That man is gone. He's not coming back. But I also recognize I have to go get him. I have to go get him. I realize, that the amount of time that it may take me to arrive back at that, I'm not going to live that long. From where I am. But I realize I can't take that as final. Something in here says, hey man, it's over. But that something else in me says, I got to try. I've got to try to do the impossible. Why? Because the impossible is there. You follow what I'm saying? Okay. The impossible is there. Somewhere. I don't know where it is. It may be about 225 in each hand. I don't know. I can't let it stop me. Whatever that thought that came through there is, no, it is not a reason. No. I am going toward change. I am going toward moving from point A to point B, from point B to point C, wherever that is and wherever it takes me. Okay. It was only a thought. It only has effect when it's tethered by emotionalism. You see what I'm saying? It was just a thought. Oh man, you ain't got, you're not going to live that long. It's just a thought. It's not I have no emotional contact with it. I have no emotional contact to, I'm going to make this happen. It's just a matter of which thought I grabbed hold to. No, I don't want that one. I want this one. Okay, bam. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. Let's hit it. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? That's this process. Now, when we come to this point and we finally figure out what is the problem? What is the problem? I feel this way. I feel insecure. I feel, wow. That's why I behave in this way. That's why I behave in this way. I'm afraid. That's why I behave in this way. I don't feel of value. That's why I've got to be argumentative and all this. Now I'm looking at that. Change has got to come. Now change is coming one way or another. Change probably is going to come because you hurt so badly, you give up. You give up all the ideas about who you are and what you are. You finally say, deeply and honestly, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. Now, you can change. Or, somewhere in there, there's an evergreen. It says, hey, I've been through there and I can help you if you desire help. Oh, I can help you get through this. It says, come on, let's take a walk back. Let's take a walk back to your birth. Your initial act in this world was the response to the world with, I don't know. Insecurity, fear. What is this? You formed a loop in your nervous system. A loop of energy that from that day forward, I don't know. It's strange. What does that mean? I'm here all alone. I cling to my mother. I cling to my father. They tell me that there are things out there that will hurt me. They look like this, they look like that, the other. I formed all these opinions around that loop. Now, as I go through life, I reinforce these things. I reinforce them over and over and over again, whatever these formations are. All right. So now let's come forward, back to the evergreen, or the one who's been there. And he explains that. But now, he's got to explain to you how you change that. How you are, what you can do to no longer be a victim and react to that. Sounds like a good idea. But only sounds like a real good idea and is only a really good idea if you have come to that place where you say, I don't know. But if you're going to argue with the principle, you're not ready. You're not ready. Life has not beat you up enough yet that you are objective. That you say, I want to know. So that the formula can be applied. Apply the formula. What must I do? You must recognize the loop within you. You must see it. You must see yourself doing these things. You must. And you must not be reacting to the thing, but acting upon the solution. Acting upon the solution. Solution. I say, here's what the solution is. You must focus directly at what's happening in you. Relax. Let that energy move. What am I saying? You must open that loop. And instead of the energy doing this, with all the memories and all the reinforcement like so, it starts to do this. Starts to do this. Starts to flow. And it is the flowing energy that allows you to go, you know, I feel pretty good. And when you feel pretty good, you begin to think thoughts that are pretty good. And when you think thoughts that are pretty good, you begin to create your life in a pretty good way. But your attention must be on acting upon the solution, not reacting as you have always done to the action that has always gone on. One is a position of learning, and the other one is a position of remaining in darkness. And when you remain in darkness, you are a problem maker. You are a troublemaker in the midst of those who are trying to resolve an issue. Big problem is most of the time, most of them in there are problem makers because they don't understand. They don't understand what the issue is. They think the issue is them, their ego trip. Well, I got to be right. They don't want to hear what I... It's not about you. What are the elements of the issue? Now, what I've said to you are the elements of the issue of the way the persona is set up. I've described to you what those elements are. Now, what do? We need to disassemble that. We disassemble it in the same manner that we assembled it. We say, oh, well, I was born this way. That's nonsense. You were born open. You were born to learn certain craziness, but you were born open. You were born to learn certain craziness, but you were born open. And open is where we need to come back to. Open. You know, there are things in life greater than what we want as individuals. And we have to learn to understand that. We sometimes give pain because what is at the end of that pain is greater. And that sometimes is the greatest gift we can give. That's the way it is. We have pain and misery because of ourselves. And the individual has to understand that. Has to, because it's your only way out. As long as you want to make it about someone else, you are going to stay in darkness. You're going to stay in that because that is not what's going to open those things, those gestalts. Out here, oh, if they would do this and if they... No, if you would do what you need to do to open this, then the problem would be solved. Your problem of misery would be solved. Like a smoker or a drinker. Well, there's a guy I taught when he was in high school. He's now a drug addict, alcoholic, and every time he sees me, it's, "Hi, Professor. Thank you, Professor. Thank you." It's like, all right, you know, you helped me so much, you know. And he told me one day this woman, she was angry at him. I said, "Oh?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I owed her $20. And I told her if she come by at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning, I'd give it to her while I had it. And I waited till 10:30, she wasn't there. So I went and bought me some booze. She know I'm an alcoholic." alcoholic. I know I'm an alcoholic. Now, I waited. I tried. You weren't there when you were supposed to be there. So, hey, he's got part of it right, recognizing what he is, but he's got to get the other part, the solution. He's got to say no. Now let me focus on what is going to make a difference. Not let me focus on the problem, not let me continue to create the problem, but here is the solution. I present you with a technique. I can't present you with something that is going to cure the mind because it's not within my power. It's in the power of every individual. I can present you with a platform from which to view the problem and view the solution. But what you must do, or what the individual must do, is accept that platform, stand on that platform, and do what it takes. Become resolved to work with the solution. That is, now, the result of that is peace. I'm not trying to say that everyone should be any way. I'm saying if you want peace, you must rid yourself of that which causes you not to have peace. That which causes you not to have peace. That automatic behavior. That thing, that automatic behavior, see what it does is it continues to reflect out here, out here, out here, out here. And what does that cause? Problems. Problems. In what happened with me, I decided I have no time for this madness. Those words will just go through there. They mean nothing unless I make them mean something. I have no time for my madness. Now what's going to happen when you come with your madness? I'm going to say there's no place for you here. There's no room for you here. There's no room for you in my life. No. The answer is no. The answer is no to my own, therefore it's going to be no to yours. You say, well, that's cruel, let's go. No. That is respecting myself as what I am and respecting you as what you are and saying to you, we're not going to get along. So you need to be with those like you. What does that mean? You like to cause crap, y'all get on over there and cause crap together amongst yourselves. Go play amongst yourselves. It's all right, be nice, play in the street. It's okay. That's what you're choosing to do, is play in the traffic. Go ahead. As for me, you know, I looked at the sky the other day. The sun was shining and there was a white fluffiness to the clouds with a tinge of blue and a tinge of gray. And right next to it moving in were like storm clouds. They were black and with silver gray at its top. And at the very top, the sun shine off of it with a light gold white. And it's like, yeah. Yeah. That's what I will have in my life. I don't argue. I don't fight. I don't do it. And anyone who brings it has to go. Simple as that. We must learn in our lives to say no to craziness. No. to madness. No to insanity. I looked when Barack Obama was first elected president, and one of the Republican leaders says, we're not going to let him succeed. And they proceeded to be obstructionist. They continued to be obstructionist throughout the whole thing, and are now saying, well, we have a do-nothing Congress, and it's the Democrats. And what do I hear? Thoughtless people believing that. When they stood up and said, we are going to be obstructionists. Hello? How can, and I'm not talking about parties. What I'm talking about is mind process. How can you consider yourself a reasonable, thoughtful person when you believe that kind of crap? Now I'm saying this is what I'm going to do, but I'm going to put it on the other guy and you believe it. You see, when you accept that kind of thinking, that kind of way into your own life, you're asking for trouble. You're asking for trouble. Those of us who say no to that. No. I'm going about this in this way. There's no room for that. Because I've said it to myself. Because I have said it to myself. And if I'm not going to take it from me, I damn sure ain't going to take it from you. No matter what it is. And no matter who you are. Because the rule, the law is this. Cut it out. Change. That's the law. And if your change depends upon someone else, it's not change. It has to depend upon you. Therefore, the individual must stand in that position and say, and see, oh, I'm miserable because I do this. Oh. If that individual does not do that, they will not solve the problem within. They won't. Then what? Then can I come hang out with you? No. Well, why not? Because look at what you're dragging around with you. Look at the nonsense you're bringing. You were given an answer. Did you take it? No. You were given that same answer 50 times. Did you take it at any of those times? No. Then why would I want you here? In that part of the world that has to rise above the rest. You see, we have to rise, period. And trust me, there are only a few. There are only a few that are going to rise. Not because of some bullshit, but because you must rise. You must do the work. I had a friend though years ago when they first came out with Nautilus equipment, and I was going to work out one day. He said, man, you look like you're in good shape. And I said, yeah, I'm using Nautilus equipment. It's machines. He said, oh, machines? I said, yeah. He said, will they do the work for you? And I said, no, you have to. He said, well, I was going to go, but I'm not going. If I still got to do the work, I'm not going. You must do the work, and you must decide to do the work, and the work is seeing what you do to cause your own misery. You cannot take anyone with you. You can't. It's not possible. If it were possible, I would have taken the whole world a long time ago. But I can't. All I can do is provide a viewpoint, a place where people can stand and see if they desire to see, if they desire to understand what the issue is. If that's not the case, there's nothing anyone can do for you. God itself, there's nothing it can do for you, because it is about self-determination. It is about the individual will. It's about the individual growth. It's about the knowledge gained by the individual. I told a story that once there was a thief in India. He was the greatest thief in the history of India. This guy was so great that it was an honor to be robbed by him. Rich people would give big parties and spread the word. I'm going to have jewels and diamonds everywhere. So this guy would come rob them. But they have all kinds of security and police and everything. This guy would rob them anyway. There was a thief, a young thief, who found him. Nobody knew who he was, but this guy found him and said, Master, I want to be a master thief like you. I want people to want me to rob them. He said, but how do you do it, and how do you get away? And the master thief thought about it. He says, well, okay, there's a party tonight. Come with me. So they get there. And the master thief, there's a big party, thousands of people. The master thief opened the door, pushed him in and yelled, thief, thief, closed the door and ran. Well, the guy got away. Next day he saw him, he said, why did you do that? He said, you wanted to learn how to get away. That's how you learn. To be thrown into the fire. There's no way to teach that. That creative energy in that moment. That looking. You can't teach a person to be objective. You have to be able to look and see the elements and utilize those elements for yourself. That's what this is. You're thrown into life. You're thrown into this technique. When you are thrown into the technique, you must see from that perspective, from that platform. You must see. It is your experience that frees you. It's on you, no one else. And if you don't want to cooperate with that, that's on you. You find yourself where you find yourself. You find yourself in the midst of the crazies because you're crazy. You find yourself in the midst of nonsense. You find yourself in the midst of pain, insanity, because you're insane. Remember my definition. We're all insane. It's just the sane ones know we're insane. I'm just as crazy as a bug. I'm nuts. The thing is, I know it. Therefore, I have a choice. And I choose to do those things that are best for myself and the whole. If I choose to do what is best for the whole, I have chosen to do what is best for myself. If I choose to feed everybody on the planet, everybody includes me. To do what is best for the whole is to do what is best for me. If I choose that everybody on the planet have clean air, that includes me. I am one of those people. Now, I'm not talking about some of your individual crazy crap. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what is truly good for the whole. Now, one of the things I said in the beginning of this whole process, how many years ago? Seems like eons. I'm going to treat it like math. Here is the rule. Here is the proof. Now what you have to do is work out each problem from that rule and from that proof. The proof tells you it's going to work out.